last week, I learned those cameras are already rolling right now. Everybody learns. We've got to make a lot of improvement between week 1 and week 2, starting with me. So my improvement is to understand there's hot mics around here right when I walk in. Y'all remember what I said last week? Huh? Are these off now or y'all are rolling, huh? Because I get a text when I get back to my office, and my wife is like, you need to watch your mouth when you first walk in there. She's watching. I just said we need to get all this crap cleaned up. Huh? I'm telling you. Now she's embarrassed because I mentioned her name and I hadn't said anything about Stephen F. Austin yet. Let's see if she's listening today. All right, now we're ready to start. I didn't bring it in here this morning. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Whenever I'm ready. Okay. All right, first and foremost, congratulations to Rico Jeffers and Reggie Pearson on the Big 12 honors. Absolutely well-deserved. Those guys both played well. Still have room to improve all the way around. We have had a couple good days of meetings, coming off the win and finding ways to improve in all three phases. I think that's the biggest thing is we got to find ways to self-improve this week before we play our next opponent on Saturday night. It's Stephen F. First of all, coached Kobe Carthel. Got a lot of respect for Kobe, and I've known Kobe for a while from Friona, so everybody in that town will be here, I know, supporting him. West Texas, a really good football coach, a staff that has a lot of continuity. They've been together for a while and won a championship a few years ago, so I have a lot of respect for those guys. They will play hard. They will play extremely hard. All you have to do is flip on the tape of them playing all the Division I teams they've played over the last couple of years and watch how they play. They play some of their best football, so we absolutely know that and we expect that. Trey Self, returner starter at quarterback. Some of our guys have played against him in junior college. I know Devin Drew and Krishawn Merriweather both played against him. But tall, rangy, can escape. You good there, Dowdy? And throws a good deep ball. You know, they've got a few good backs. They're ginormous on the O-line, really big and strong guys up front. You know, they've got a couple thick D tackles that we're going to have to contend with, and a rangy safety, I think, that can get off the hash and make some plays. So, you know, the biggest thing for us is knowing your opponent, their strengths, and the things that we have to do to take them away and also self-improve this week. So we look forward to this game, look forward to the Jones. Big game for us around here, home opener, and protecting the Jones. Encourage everybody to come out. Hopefully we can pack the Jones, and I know that there's been a lot of efforts around town. Certainly appreciate those from our marketing people, but also our boosters, donors, and alumni to get this thing packed out and get this thing back to what it used to be around here, and that's a crowd that's extremely passionate about the Red Raiders. We certainly know that we have a role to play in that piece as well, and to play well in front of our home crowd. And our guys are looking forward to doing that Saturday night, 6 o'clock. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up.
Coach, I can't remember if you were asked, but Jackson Knotts, I think he went down from his long snapper position, made a big tackle on a punt, I believe it was. What can you just kind of tell us about him?
Yeah, Jackson's come in here over the summer and training camp and done a nice job, won the job, very accurate. Obviously, he can run. You know, that's his strength, is athleticism and being able to cover a punt. And, you know, that will help us down the road. The more plays he makes in space, that was a big, big play in the game Saturday. But, you know, that's a potential weapon there in terms of that. And I know that's rare to say, but if a punt return team has to spend a guy on the long snapper, somebody's not getting doubled. Either a gunner's not getting doubled or somebody inside's getting more singled. So his athleticism is a plus for him.
In terms of Reggie, I think he played every single defensive snap against Houston. Do you kind of just let him be a center fielder out there, kind of follow the ball and just make a play on the ball as much as he can?
No, he'll play within the scheme of the defense. It depends on what he does. I mean, he goes from playing center field to cover two to quarters to bracket to being a low hole safety. He does a little bit of everything.
Coach, you talked about that defensive performance in the second half and how you guys were able to tighten the screws. You talked about some of the pressure up front, but in the back end, could you just maybe see the communication get a little smoother, and how big you think was getting that kind of half together in a game under their belts for that unit?
Well, I think that's an area of improvement that we can make in terms of communication. I just think, we didn't communicate well on a couple of them. We communicated better in the second half. To be real frank with you, there wasn't any adjustments. We just executed a lot better.
Coach, the offense gave up some sacks. What can the group do to improve?
I think we got to play better individually and some technique stuff up front. I think that's what it comes down to. Typically, the O-line, you got 5 guys, one guy doesn't do real well, it makes the whole group look bad. And that's basically what it comes down to.
With saying that, is it an option to move some guys around possibly?
It's always an option, yeah. But I don't see us doing that.
Coach, so you mentioned, I know Stephen F. Austin likes to take some shots downfield and everything, and just getting so hyped up for that first game against Houston and everything. And obviously they jumped out early 14-0. Do you think it'd be something you guys focus on this week as far as home game here? Stephen F. Austin's going to be the underdog, and they like to take shots that early on they're going to try to come at you guys quickly like Houston did?
Yeah, it's hard to predict what they're going to do. Houston just did what they did. They didn't. I don't think they changed up what they did, but that's part of who Stephen F. Austin is, and that's who their offense is. So we expect them to run their stuff. I don't know what they'll do right out of the gate, but we always focus on starting fast. We certainly want to tighten that up.
I know. Obviously, Easy had a great game, big standout performance. Do you want to see in this next game as well as he was, just maybe get spread out a little bit more and more receivers making plays? And how do you want to see them all get kind of into the game, into the series, so it's not?
No, I think we did that. I think we did spread it out. But guys, when you only snap the ball 52 times, you're not going to have 4 receivers with 7 catches when you snap the ball 52 times and you run the ball like we did Saturday. So you need to play about 85 snaps to be able to spread it out a little bit to everybody. And that's just the way the game went. Basically, we played offense for 3 quarters.
Thanks. Taj Brooks seemed to have a good game. Can you talk about his performance against Houston?
Taj continues to really do what he has always done, Jarrett, since he's been here. He's consistent. The guy comes to work every day. He's smart. He's tough. He's reliable. He's become a little bit more explosive. I think that's something that Coach Smith has really challenged him in the off season, to be an explosive runner and to hit more home runs and be explosive. And you saw 2 of them. But Taj is a consistent performer, and I think reflection of his practice habits is probably the best way to say it. It's what he does every day in practice.
It appeared to be one of the more physical performances by Texas Tech defenses in a while. How was the team able to do that?
Hopefully that's who we are. I know we certainly made it a big deal to win the trenches, and in the second half, I think we ran the ball when we wanted to run it and when we had to run it. And when you hold an opponent as good as Houston to 2.2 yards per rush and you have 11 TFLs or sacks combined, I think that's a good performance. Most of those came in the second half.
Going kind of piggybacking on that a little bit, Coach, your team obviously didn't get the ball much at all in the first quarter, and you kind of hinted at it, only playing offense for 3 quarters. Your defense gave up 2 big drives, but through all of that adversity, it really felt like your team the whole time was like, okay, we're going to get our chance, we're going to get this going. Did you have that sense on the sidelines, too, that there wasn't a hanging your head moment at all with this team, that they were just going to continue the fight when they got their chance?
Yeah. Just like I said Sunday night in the Zoom with some of you guys got on when we recapped the game, the demeanor was great on the sidelines. The demeanor was great in the locker room, but there was still a sense of urgency that you better get it done right now because it's third and fourth quarter. We don't have very many series left. So I was proud of those guys in terms of their demeanor.
And you had to be extremely proud of how your linebackers played throughout the entire game. Can you comment on how those guys did specifically as a group?
Yeah, Krishan Merriweather played well. Rico's played well. Schooler played almost the whole game. We played all 6 of those guys, Morgenstern, Pierre, and Knucklehead. Thank you, Brandon. And Brandon had some plays that were very athletic. You know, Schooler made some nice open field plays. The TFL was a key play in the game. They're late in the game that Collin made. So those guys, that's the strength of our defense. So we expect that out of them.
Just in terms of you talking about, SFA and their ability to get those.
Good, an SFA question. All right.
Do they remind you a little bit of Houston Baptist, the FCS team that you played last year, in their way to maybe get some of those deep shots?
No, they're completely different than Houston Baptist. They're different structure. They're different. The way they align their personnel and schematics, they look completely different.
I'll ask you another question about SFA. DeLeon Ward being a former Texas Tech player. What do you know about him? We were trying to remember before you came in here if you overlapped with him or not.
One spring.
What does he look like to you? Of course, he only carried 5 times the other night.
Yeah, didn't had limited carries in the game.
Another Texas Tech question. I was going to ask you about Brandon Brown because last year in the opener he had 3 PBUs and then the other night he was made a couple of big plays in the passing game. Does he, I assume, show that on the practice field?
You know, Brandon's length and athleticism, Don, give him advantages in the passing game, especially in zones and zone drops by our linebackers when they're dropping. He's long-armed. He really minimizes the windows for the quarterbacks in zone coverage because he's athletic and he's long. And when you can shrink the windows, or he causes the quarterbacks to elevate throws in zone, usually that's a recipe for interceptions and things like that. And he was a key player in Fry's interception. Obviously, he tipped it right to him. But a guy like that, when he does the correct things in zone drops, can make it very, very difficult for a quarterback throwing to his area.
Yeah, Coach. What would you say SFA's? Oh, someone else go. Oh, sorry. Biggest weapon would be that you guys are preparing for this week?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, Trey, and they've got 2 really good receivers. Gibson is legit. He is a really good player. He's a really good returner. Again, another elite returner we're going up against in the special teams area. But you watch that guy, Gibson, against all the Division I teams, Memphis, UTEP, UTSA, the teams that they played like last year, and he's behind everybody. He's behind their league. He's behind Division I teams. It doesn't matter. That guy's really talented, and he's a good player. Those are their strengths, on offense.
And you mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but how excited, I guess, are the guys to just have a hopefully packed Jones Stadium?
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. That's big. They've already been talking about it. It'll be fun for those guys, especially when you consider like all the transfers and the new players for the last 2 years. COVID took that away from them, and so we're excited to pack the Jones, and hopefully Red Raider Nation comes out and supports these guys. And I know when they do, they'll be loud and they'll be proud. And we have a lot of new players over the last 2 years that are looking forward to that first full crowd.
Just in terms of SFA, and they have a couple obviously D1 transfers down into their program. How much is that changing landscape and the ability of guys to transfer kind of boosted some of those FCS teams and injected them with some of that D1 talent?
Well, yeah, I think, that I know they got at least a half a dozen, 8 somewhere I counted, and then they've got some junior college transfers for the guys that are talented. I think anytime you do that, if any team that's going to improve in terms of the transfer portal, it's going to improve a team. When those players are better than you can bring in from a high school standpoint, and that's the evaluation that certain coaches make, and certainly we do, and we've been rewarded for that as well as anybody in terms of the transfer market. And you just can't miss on transfers. Those guys got to come in. They got to be great leaders, great character guys, and extremely good players. And so far here at Texas Tech, every one of our transfers have fit that bill here for us.
Obviously, all your transfers had success over the weekend, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But what's it say to the guys that have stuck around, Adrian Fry, obviously Rico, and the guys on the defensive line as well?
We talk, and we talked about this in our Friday night team meeting. I'm proud of a lot of the guys that have, that when we got here have stuck around, and it is Rico, it's DeMarcus Fields. Adrian Fry's improved a lot over the last 2 years. DeMarcus Fields remarkably, and for him to be a college grad and what he's done off the field academically, changing his body, so proud of DeMarcus Fields. Really, really proud. Weston Wright, Dawson Deaton, Eric Ezekama, Sir Roderick Thompson, those guys right there are big-time teammates. They take care of their business off the field. They've been very, very good on the field, and they've been very valuable in the locker room.
You like the way that Tyler played in his first game under center. Now with that first game under his belt, where's the next step or area of improvement for him going forward?
I think outside of just one area, it's just consistency and being a starting quarterback from week to week. It's daily improvement, fundamentals. It's daily improvement in new schemes and new plays going in. It's consistency in your work ethic and your work habits and just doing it day after day and week after week. And certainly I don't see any reason why he won't do that. Good. How are you, Sam?
Oh, he got muted. Matt's muted. I didn't hear him, and now I can't hear him anymore.
Well, you successfully did something that everybody in this press conference is wanting to do at one time or another, Sam. Congratulations.
Thanks. Hey, I'm curious, first 2 games of the season against in-state teams, you had Houston at SFA. Does that have a positive, negative to you, or is Kirby Smith's schedule and you just play it? What's your general feelings on that?
Oh, it's positive. Kirby does make the schedule, and we do play it. The schedule's set for quite a while, but I think when you have a regional game like this, it's always good. But I can tell you this, that they have our full attention. I promise you that. The respect that I have for Coach Carthel and that staff and how they've played and how he's turning that program around, they absolutely have, our attention. And you really don't have to turn much further than go look at the scores from last weekend around the United States, around the country. And then look at 5 or 6 near upsets and they were all FCS teams. These guys, like the question earlier about transfer portal and guys improving their team, SFA is absolutely that. They have our full attention, and they'll get our best shot Saturday night.
With Tyler and Sonny, how have you seen their relationship grow since Tyler's been on campus and since Sonny's been there? And how have you seen them work together so far since now that you guys have got a game under your belt?
Yeah, they work really well together. They've got a good rapport, and it's a good relationship, and I think it's daily. It's the communication. I think the thing that Tyler respects is Sonny Cumbie's the same guy every single day with a ton of energy and a ton of, I think just holding him accountable, coaching him hard. And I think as our coaches, we coach the starters the hardest. That's kind of a little bit of our mantra around here. Sonny does the same thing, and he's hardest on the starter. And I think just the consistency, has gained Tyler's respect, I believe. And I think there's a mutual respect, and they've got a great relationship.
That's all I got. Thanks so much, Matt.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that'll do it for Coach. We'll have players here in just a few minutes.
Okay. Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, and girls.
All right, same thing as before. We will start with questions for Collin. Start with Brandon right here.
Collin, obviously being at Texas Tech, do you ever hear comparisons to a guy named Zach Thomas? Just kind of how you play?
Yeah, a couple times. Mostly this year. I didn't really hear a lot last year when I first got here, but he's a great linebacker. He should be in the Pro Hall of Fame right now if it was up to me, but he'll eventually be there one day. But yeah, I've gotten some comparisons before.
Spoken to him or anything?
I have not. No, I've never met or spoke to him before.
Just reviewing that last game, how do you kind of feel that you played as a unit, the linebackers specifically?
I thought we played pretty well. I thought that early on we were making some small mistakes that we shouldn't have, and but I was pretty impressed the way we played, especially how we played basically the whole first quarter with no breaks. So none of us really got tired. So that kind of speaks to how conditioned we are and how well we've been taken care of and around that area. But to come out in the second half and dominate the way we did with really no adjustments, we kind of just executed better. Speaks highly to how we performed.
Collin, the play late in the fourth quarter, the 3rd and 1, where you shot through and made the tackle in the backfield, did you look like you kind of walked up right before the snap? Did you have any sense or anticipation of what type of play was coming?
Yeah, I had some sense. They ran sort of the same play earlier in the game. I want to say in the first quarter, same formation, same down and distance. So I kind of had a feel for it. I believe we were only up by 3 at that time, so I didn't think they were going to do anything, take a deep shot to risk not scoring any points that drive. So it was a heavy run call, and my number got called on a stun, so just executed well.
It seemed like in the second half the intensity on defense, was ratcheted up. From a player's perspective, what was the cause of that?
It was really just believing in each other and just playing hard together. Like I said, in the first half, there wasn't really anything that Houston earned that we felt like. We felt like we kind of gave them everything that they got on the scoreboard. So in the second half, like I said, we didn't make any adjustments. We just said that we have to execute better and make them earn it. So that's what we did, and I believe we held them under the 40 total yards in the second half. So just by executing, it was a completely different game in the second half.
Just in terms of, obviously, you talked about no adjustments. I'll go off of it a little bit. But specifically in those short situations, because it seemed that, like on those first 2 drives alone, they converted, maybe 4 or 5 3rd and 1, 4th and 1s. But it seems like you guys were able to shut that down effectively. Was that just guessing just kind of understanding where they were going with the ball, just more fight at the line? What was that kind of cause?
Well, when we were losing first down, so when it gets 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, it's really hard to stop, especially when you can sort of bush push nowadays, from behind. But yeah, we were just more dominant on first down in the second half and put them in 2nd and medium, 3rd and medium, 3rd and long situations, and it's a completely different game when that happens.
And then for y'all, for a team that close games, especially over the past few years, some of you've been a part of, some you haven't been, have been kind of a tough situation and ones where maybe you guys haven't been as effective as you wanted to. Where did you guys then get that confidence in a close game to say, okay, this will be different, we'll come out on top of this one?
Yeah, I felt like we just stayed aggressive. You look really late into that game, we still have 11 dudes in the frame running to the ball. Even though we're up by 17 points and with a minute left in the game, we still have every single person playing as hard as they can. And that was something we harped on pretty hard in the offseason. We practiced it during conditioning without the coaches. We practiced it all through fall camp, so that's just something that is a mentality that we have, and that's all it is. It's nothing really that schematically changed. It was just more of a mentality thing.
Collin, going into Saturday, is there anything specifically, any adjustments or anything like that that you guys will change as far as trying to start the first half the way you started the second half this past weekend?
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I don't think that's schematic at all. I feel like that's just a mindset, and if we choose to do it, that's something we can do, you know, and it's not an excuse, but, you know, first game of the year in a neutral site in an NFL stadium with kind of a big group of new guys. You know, we got some transfers coming in, so just kind of getting those nerves calmed down and, you know, pregame jitters and everything like that. It was just once we settled in, we did pretty good.
And then for you, you haven't really got to see a full Jones Stadium. What have you heard about that experience, and how excited are you to finally have it? Yeah,
I'm really excited. Last year, it got pretty loud with, I can't remember, I think it was 25% was the capacity, so I can only imagine how deafening it can get with 100%, you know, and evening, night game, blackout. So it's going to be something to remember for me. My first game in the Jones, real game.
In terms of Rico being named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, first question, on the pick six, were you surprised how good he was with the ball in his hands?
No, we actually practiced that too. First day of fall camp, it didn't matter if you were offense or defense. We practiced ball security. We practiced what to do with the ball once you get it, because when those opportunities come, you know, you may not get a second one where you get opportunity to score with the ball. But Rico's a great player, you know, and I'm not surprised at all. I was about 25 yards away, and as soon as he caught it, I knew he scored, you know, so it was kind of go party in the end zone after that.
And then as a fellow linebacker, what's something that you, when you watch him in a game, I guess obviously you have your own responsibilities, but when you see what he does in a game, what's something that you can appreciate as a fellow linebacker of what he does so well?
Yeah, he's just a gamer, you know, out there where you get a feel for the game. It's communicating where they line up in a certain formation and, hey, watch, stretch this way. So when a stretch happens that way, you can go hit the play, you know. So Rico helped me make this play, even though he didn't do anything. He just told me to go hit it, you know. Or, but if you look at all the linebackers, the way that we play and how hard we play, and really the whole defense, there wasn't that many explosive plays that we gave up because we were missing tackles and they were breaking down the sideline because we have so many guys running the ball. And guys like, you know, Rico, Brandon, Krishan, Josiah, Jacob, everybody that played, whenever the ball's flying around, they're not far behind it.
And then for y'all, coming off of, you know, emotional win in the comeback fashion, how do you now then get up for a FCS opponent that on paper it could be seen as maybe as an opponent that isn't as talented?
Yeah, well, we put Houston to bed already. We watched the game Sunday, Monday, you know, made the corrections, put it to bed, moved on. And, you know, Stephen F., they're not a team to be taken lightly. If you saw week one, how many FCS teams won and how many FCS teams were within a one-score game. So no team is to be taken lightly. You know, we respect everybody. So we're not coming in this game thinking that it's going to be, you know, a walk in the park and that they're just going to let us win the game. We still have to go take it.
You talked about it a bit with Rico, but when you have so many seniors in the linebacker room like you do, is it sort of apparent on the field that you guys are such an experienced group with guys knowing where to be and stuff like that?
Yeah, it definitely has its perks, especially when we're down 21-7. There was no panic, you know. Nobody ever started to break apart. I feel like, if anything, we became tighter as a unit and just everybody take a deep breath. We're still in this, it's a long game, like, let's go do our thing. So having experience and having guys who have played a lot of football really helps in those situations.
And when you have a secondary playing as well as it was against Houston, how does that make your life easier as a linebacker?
Well, we work one-on-one or hand-in-hand together, just like D-line and linebackers, you know. They motion, I get a check, I play whatever the check is. We work off together. I know if anything happens, I have help outside or I have help inside, so it's just trusting each other and having faith that my teammate's going to be where he's supposed to be.
Any other questions for Collin?
Totally unrelated to football. Got to ask about the style pregame. Is it something that did a lot of people reach out, kind of, or what is the Collin Schooler style? Is it because it seems pretty unique just from the outside?
Yeah, I assume you're just talking about the picture of the glasses I had on. Yeah, so yeah, they're kind of a beachy snowboarding brand. Yeah, a lot of people who go to the lake or around water wear them. They're called Pit Vipers. No, I don't have NIL deal with them, but yeah, I know it's just a pair of glasses I've had for a couple years now, and my brother has a pair. A couple guys on the team have a pair. I just so happen to had a picture of them on. But yeah.
Hey, since you and your brother were playing in somewhat close proximity on Saturday, UT was at home and you were in Houston. Where was the who was in Austin rooting for Brendan, and who was in Houston rooting for you?
So I know my aunt was and my cousin, because my cousin lives in Austin. I know my aunt and cousin were with Brendan on Saturday. My parents were with me, but ever since 2017, when we were both playing, they've had to choose whether to go, to Arizona or to Oregon, which game, which week. So they have a little bit of experience of how to choose which game. I don't know how it works. I just get told we're coming to this one or we're not. So, but it just so happened that this week we both have family coming in, which is kind of rare just because of how far, we're mostly from California. So that's a long trip for family to come out. But we both had family at this game or during week one. So I know that was special for both of us.
All right, that'll do it for Collin. We'll have Dawson Deaton here in a second.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just as an offense, obviously, the anticipation, I'm sure, is building all throughout the offseason to get on the field. But how much more difficult does it make it when then you have to wait another 12 or 13 minutes to get your first snaps on Saturday?
Yeah, that was one of the crazier starts to a football game I've been a part of. And, I think the huge part about it, though, was everyone stayed together and everyone kept calm, and everyone knew. We were saying on the sidelines, we're still going to win this game. And even though it's a terrible start for us with a long drive, then onside kick, another long drive, and then before we even get on the field, like you said, we're down 14-0. It was a difficult start to the game, but we stayed together and we fought through it, and the whole time we knew we were going to win.
Was there a point in the game where you could feel you guys start to kind of get your rhythm a little bit offensively?
Yeah, for sure. I think after our first touchdown, whenever Taj broke it, and I think that really just – we all knew going into the game we'd be able to run as much as we want all over them. And I think that touchdown kind of showed us, this is what we're going to do the rest of the game. And I think the rest of the game we played really physical up front and opened up a lot of holes. And our running backs ran really hard and made dudes miss and made good cuts. And I think you saw that all over the tape on Saturday.
And then now for y'all moving on to SFA, coming off a game where you won pretty emotionally, comeback victory, now playing an FCS opponent that maybe on paper doesn't look the same as a Big 12 opponent. How do you now get up mentally and emotionally for a game like that?
I think it's just important to approach all games the same. And even though they're not a Big 12 opponent, like you said, we still respect them and we still understand that we have to come out and execute and do everything we're coached throughout the week and execute our game plan on both sides of the ball to make sure we win the game.
As you mentioned, the offensive line opened up a lot of holes in the running game, but also gave up some sacks. How do you feel like the group played overall?
I think we played well in the run game, like you said, but I think we do need to clean up our pass protection. I think that was pretty obvious to anyone watching. We gave up way too many sacks for what we expect from ourselves as the O-line, and I think that's something we'll continue to work on this week, and we'll get it fixed, continue to work on techniques, protections, IDs, make sure we're all on the same page, and make sure that we give Tyler time back there to throw the ball.
Did it look like missed assignments or more just someone beating guys off the line of scrimmage?
It was a little bit of both. I think there's definitely it takes everyone on the O-line. It's all 5 of us. It's all of our responsibilities, and we just got to make sure we're helping each other when we're uncovered, and make sure whenever we have a one-on-one matchup that we take it personally, and we just say, this guy's not going to beat me one-on-one, and take care of our business. And I think that's something we've talked about as a group after watching the tape Saturday, and that we'll get it fixed the rest of the season.
And from your perspective, what is it like blocking for Taj Brooks?
It's awesome. He ran really hard Saturday. I think that was obvious. He was making dudes miss. He was running over people, and he was just running really hard. And as an O-line, you love running or blocking for a running back like that, knowing that if you just give him a little bit of space, like a little sliver, he can hit it and take it to the house.
Dawson, have you guys started, watching tape of Stephen F. Austin yet? And if so, what kind of stands out about their defense? As
an O-line, watching their D-line, as an O-lineman, I think they're an active front. I think they move around a lot, and they'll show you different stuff on the D-line. So I think as an O-line, that makes it really important for us to communicate and make sure we're on the same page every play, because whenever stuff starts moving around and guys are doing different things up front, we need to be able to communicate and be able to help each other out, pass off twists, get in the right double teams, make sure we're going to the right linebackers, all that kind of stuff.
And then for y'all, I think a lot of the big conversation point was even when you guys went down 14-0, there's still that confidence that you guys would come back from a team that, you guys have admitted it, in close games you haven't been that great the past couple of seasons. Where does that confidence then come from that this game will be different and will come out on top in that one?
I think a big part of it is just the maturity of the team, and I think you see it across the board, offense and defense. There's a lot of dudes who've played a lot of football, and a lot more guys who are experienced and understand the flow of college football games, and understand even though things might not be going your way at some time, at that point there was still 3 more quarters of football to play, plenty of time to turn it around and get things right, and I think that's a big part of it. And even in halftime of the game, there were dudes on defense saying, all we need to do is shut them out the second half and we win. And I think that really stuck out to me, because after the game, we really did shut them out in the second half, and that's exactly what happened. And that's defensive captain saying that. So I think just them saying that in the locker room and having that presence and that leadership and the confidence as a whole team really gave us the confidence that we knew we were going to come back and win.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you all.